Today we are driving the all-new Audi Q3, here new generation. We have it as the SUV and also the Sportback, showing you the differences here. And this is also a sister model to the VW Tiguan and also to the Cupra Terramar. And the Terramar and the Q3 are even built in the same factory. So very interesting topics to cover right here with Thomas and Autogefuehl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the new generation Q3, which has this single frame Audi grille. Here in this case then all in black, really large. Oh, look at that, how large the gaps here are with this sporty honeycomb design. And super large Audi rings here in the front. They are not touchable, you know, they are all flat then in this case. Sage green is this color here. And it's a very unique color, definitely, but there are also others like the Malpelo blue, for example, which would be more in the Thomas blue direction. Then we can also see the black contrast here in the lower part with the front bumper. It's not like a revolutionary design for the Q3 because the Q3 customers also expect that the car somewhat also stays more or less the same. So on the one hand we have here the classic SUV building form, and a lot of customers will of course choose this one here. But I heard from Audi that especially the German customers, they often also go for the Sportback, which is 3 centimeters or 1.5 inches lower in this roof line. And this is a pure design aspect. Even the boot volume is identically in the rear, at least the standard boot volume. So it's more a design choice here that the roof is falling. Yeah. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. 20-inch wheels we have with both vehicles here today. In this case with the same styling, looks pretty cool. 20 inches also the largest choice. It would start with 17, however the Sportback gets 18-inch as standard. And moving to the more classic SUV form once again, both are also here in S-Line exterior. And Audi is listening to your feedback. We also give your feedback back to Audi. For example, the S-Line badges are back. That's why we also have now this S-Line typical badge at the side here as well. The length here, by the way, is 4 meters 53 or 178 inches, which is just a couple of centimeters longer than before. It's actually the front overhang, which is slightly longer than the predecessor, but not a huge change. In the rear, modern tail lamp design, and the light strip goes all the way through. With the highest tech package, you get here the OLED in the rear. They are really slim elements, looks pretty cool, and you can also get a digital matrix then for the front headlamps. Now let's take a look under the hood. And while we're going to the front hood, let me talk about the suspension, which is the base suspension, sport suspension or adaptive suspension, equipped with this vehicle here also, 2-valve system. And these 2-valve dampers, how do they act? When you're, for example, driving through a pothole, then the wheel goes faster in this pothole basically to keep the car more upright. But at the same time, when the pothole ends, when it goes down again, then it goes smoother, slower up again. And overall then this adds more stability and comfort while driving. Under the hood we have different engines. This is the top engine here, 2-liter TFSI, 265 horsepower, all-wheel drive, front plus rear, and also power is sent to the rear, but it's a front wheel based platform. And 5.7 seconds in the acceleration figure. That's the quickest one. This one is also available with lower horsepower output. Then there is a 1.5 TFSI as an entry-level engine. Also all 4 cylinders, lower horsepower output. It's also the lowest price. And based on the 1.5 is also the new plug-in hybrid with a significant size of the battery from a plug-in hybrid, around 20 kilowatt hours. And then also the typical 2-liter TDI, so still a wide variety of engine choices. And one more color for you. This is progressive red, a really striking red color. And we'll also drive this one here later on, because this one here has the base entry-level version engine to see the comparison between top engine and the lowest entry spec engine. Then towards the interior here, nice slim and stylish key fob indeed. Then classic door handles. I just like it when they are simple, you know, straightforward design. Is also safer that way, I feel. Door closing sound, very solid. Front and the rear, also very solid. And the inside of the door, here with an interesting structure, also soft touch. Then with microfiber insert here, and it's also Has like this laser engraving here with the perforation, interesting. And then here classic window levers, and there are also some galvanized tops. Also nice clicking sound, and also classic control for the side mirrors here. It's very intuitive, and we would like to have this and not the solution they have in the Q5. So here in the Q3 is better. And then let's lower the windows, because here from the first tech pack, then you get the dual insulation in the front. So there we go. And also the rear windows, well, they don't get the dual insulation. The Tiguan will offer that actually. Sadly, the Q3 not. But from the first tech pack, this rear window, although it doesn't have the dual insulation, it is thicker. Just, you know, from, you know, how wide it is actually. And that's of course also better for the motorway. And also, it's just a difference really that you have like the slimmer window in the base version, but as soon as you go for one, even the lowest tech pack, then dual insulation front, thicker here, and also this rear side window, this is also thicker. Of course we can't lower that, but definitely interesting details you need to know. Then S-Line interior with the new steering wheel, perforation here at the side. Yeah, vehicle key is not on the vehicle. Just put it so it doesn't beep all the time. Here in this case then S-Line steering wheel, perforation at the side, stitching on the inside. You can also opt for an animal-free steering wheel. Is available, but what is a little confusing, there are different steering wheels. There's one with flat bottom, there are round ones. There's a sport steering wheel, there's a base steering wheel, which is different here. And overall in the configurator, you can choose between 7 different steering wheels. And customer choice on the one hand, I think it's a little bit too much, isn't it? Yeah, but fun fact, definitely for today. And of course, the most obvious thing, the discussion point here. This is the turning indicator. Interesting, and it is the same mechanism more or less than we had before. And then this scroll wheel here is for the, whoop, that came close. The scroll wheel here is for the wipers. And the reason for that is because on the other side, you pick the gears here, and then they said we want to have the same design both on the right side and on the left side. That's the story behind it. A little bit more to that when I watch the cockpit for you very soon. Then we can take a look at the seats. There are normal seats and there are sport seats. This is the sport seat and this is the top sport seats with, you know, it's like here, shoulder support and microfiber then. Microfiber inside, fabric on the outside. It's also my favorite seat here, but unfortunately also the most expensive one. You get fabric seats, completely one in the base version, and when you have slick surfaces, it's a mix of animal skin and leatherette. And then here with 189, 602, still enough headroom left. There is an optional panoramic roof available that can really be opened actually. Then you can also extend here, lower leg area, that is also possible, and yeah. Good upright, typical SUV driving position, and steering wheel up and down, in and out. And you can see here, this one, the whole new unit here, moves together with the steering wheel. One of the best discussions in the car world is who is driving on the right side of the road. And we have this special security measure here today. And this reminds me, drive on the left, because, you know, as a German I drive on the right side with a steering wheel on the left, but today we're driving with a steering wheel on the left. What did I say now?
On the left side?
You see, I'm starting to get confused now. So as a German I drive on the right, but I have the steering wheel on the left.
Yes.
And in
and
the
now it's both.
And in the UK it would be steering wheel on the right, but drive on the left. And in this case, special, you know, brain thing, I have a steering wheel on the left, but I will also drive on the left. Yeah, about that. And you can discuss in the comments who is driving on the right side of the road. And now to the cockpit of the Q3. We have some nice microfiber here on the top part. This one on the top is also soft touch. And then we have a large decor element. Of course, you can pick different stylings. Glove box is actually quite spacious and falls down smoothly like this. This is the 12 volt battery that complains that I'm having everything running for a long time for you. Then we have a middle console which has even soft pads here, you know, with microfiber. That's cool. Some ambient light integration here. Well, there is a lot of high gloss black in the middle console, gotta say that. Slide this one open, inductive charging pad, 2 USB-C chargers, and here, manual volume jog. That's actually quite cool. The inductive charging pad is also ventilated, by the way. So I have to say, besides from the high gloss black here, this is a very good build quality. Also here, clicking sounds for the Audi Drive Select, for the drive modes. You don't have to confirm them in the screen. You can click them through from the lower part here and have a good clicking feedback also with the air vents here. This seems to me like a better build quality than we have recently seen in Audis that have like higher segment or even higher in the price. And here, soft touch for your elbow. Nice microfiber pattern. And underneath, more space. This has no charging. What the? Can almost hide my whole arm in there, so it goes way forward then. And also 4-point adaptive cup holders here. So I'm actually quite happy with the build quality here. And then of course, once again, the discussion. So this new element, so where did it come from? Before, this shifting element was down there in the middle console like here. And they wanted to have more space in the middle console for this and stuff. And they said, let's move it up here. And then they want to make this space-saving thing, drive, reverse. And then they said, okay, if we have that on the right side, we don't want like a classic large stick on the left side. So they made the same like here, also on the left side. You can argue pro and con about that. You get used to it because it's the same logic, the mechanism. You can either tap for turning in it or put it all the way down. It stays like that, you know, until you move the steering wheel. So that both works, but it's definitely a little bit shorter. So sometimes when you do like easy actions like this, you would miss it. So you have to be a little bit more precise behind the steering wheel. And I'm looking forward to if that's, you know, if that's a problem in driving later on or not. And now the driver POV here with the 2-dimensional Audi rings, as we have pointed out to you. Oh, this sounds good. But the 3-dimensional rings, they will be coming back to new Audi models. Then here, what's cool is illuminated buttons at the steering wheel, but it is capacitive, like this is one button field, but it has nice clicking feedback at least. And right side for the volume, for example. Then these new digital instruments. This is 12-inch and it seems to be cut off in the top and the bottom part. That was also your criticism in the static review. When you have this digital satellite map view, it's maybe not as bad, but here, for example, especially when it's brighter, here, that's actually quite cool. You still, or now again, have like this digital analog view. We wanted to have that one back. So different views are available. And it's really the thing, they need to use a monitor that is just higher, that is larger. I think that's a fair criticism. Or what do you think about that? Oh, by the way, today, here in MPH, miles per hour on Scottish countryside roads. And you can also get a head-up display. And the main infotainment system. So when you have the satellite view, it's also, let's say, better transition, I would say. And what's also interesting is the system is quicker than before. Satellite view, of course, takes a lot of CPU power and so on. But here in the main menu, they said they did it like this for higher contrast. And it's also quick and it is high contrast. But then again, it doesn't blend well with the rest of the black frame. So it's pro and con, I have to say. It looks a little bit old school, gotta say. What's your opinion on that? Here, drive assist, you can also easily deactivate some stuff. But you can...
the most important thing for the EU.
Yeah, for the EU speed chime thing, you can press there, thanks to Leah, or you could also use here this favorite button. Then you could also turn it off by that if you have set this as a favorite button. So different possibilities there. That's cool. For the climate unit here, it's in the lower part. It's not as bad as in some other of the new Audis because here there's a higher gap between this here and the screen. Still, it's not the most practical thing to do, and we all wish for the classic Audi AC back, and they will come back eventually. That is meanwhile confirmed. And important to know, Apple CarPlay integration looks like this. It's also quick. It's an Android-based system, by the way, the whole infotainment system now, so it is quicker than before, definitely. And also interesting to know that in CarPlay, Maps also can be sent here to the left side, and Waze also works. What doesn't work is Google Maps with Apple CarPlay. That doesn't go to the... It works, you know, Google Maps does work. But then again, it's not showing there. This is the Apple Maps. So, but if you have Android Auto, then you can also put your Google Maps to the left. Rear doors, very interesting. Even in top part, we also have soft touch, and this almost looks painted structure. Nice door handles, Sonos sound system. Then the microfiber insert here feels nice, although the microfiber quality could be a little bit better, honestly. And then here, this is hardback. However, in the bottom part, there's also a rubber pad that things don't slide around too much. And then here, the rear seats, I'll also show you the flexibility from the trunk very soon here. 1/3, 2/3 split for moving forward and backward is possible. And then here also for changing the angle of the seats, also good for the cargo position, so to speak. The ISOFIX clips here, they don't fold up. You have to take them out completely and then store them somewhere. So yeah, don't get lost on these. And then here you fold this down. It's very nice quality here of the materials, and also 3-point adaptive cup holders for the rear seats. This is also here the ski hatch, for example. So once again, I can just stress that a lot of individual elements are very good in the build quality. Also here, that the whole seat is covered, and also with the fabric here from the back part, only here not for the recess. And also here the climate unit, for example, with manual control where it shall come from, 2 USB-C chargers. And lower part you can also control the temperature, for example. And yeah, fairly good comfort here. Then the headroom here in the SUV with 189, 602, still some headroom left, and legroom also fits here, and with the recess even better. So it's actually a very nicely designed rear experience here. And yeah, you can also definitely argue about like pricing difference to the Q5 and so on. And we told you in the front part that even though there's always room for improvement, the interior build quality in this vehicle here, sometimes you get the feeling that it's even better than in some of the higher segments Audi at this moment. Since we are filming this review here in Scotland today, first of all, best greetings to all our Scottish fans. They've been asking me if I would review this car the whole 40 minutes with a Scottish accent, but no, I'm sticking with my German accent. So, and I was looking for this moment where I can finally state the sentence, there can be only one. With the trunk review. So.
Or the Harry Potter movie.
No. Or Harry Potter style is all, when you look at that castle there in the background, yeah. 490 liters for the trunk or the boot. And greetings to all Highlanders as well, if they're still alive. Then here, it's 1.40 meters in width here between the wheel arches. The length is about 90 centimeters or 36 inches. This one also fits in vertically. And underneath, in this case here, the subwoofer. And you can also move this one here in different stages, like this here, a little bit lower, because then we can get more height out of this vehicle. But I can only show that to you if I remove this one. And remember that for our different productions in short and long, in German and English, I'm doing everything I do now 3 times with every car. The most time-intensive part for you. This is here 80 centimeters or 31 inches, and now even more flexibility. So you can push this bench here forward, then you have more trunk length, and you can also change the inclination. So both is possible. I can show that here on the other side. So you can make it more upright, like this, for example. And again, slide it forward, backward, and of course you can put it all the way down like this, or the ski hatch. And here is also important that even if this one is in the lower part, this one has an even transition then to the front seats. That's also pretty cool. There we go. And here we are now at 68 inches or 1.73 meters. So overall pretty versatile and also well built. And tell me in the comments if you are also the biggest fan of the very first Highlander movie. You know, the classic movies, they're just somehow different, aren't they? Let's start driving the all-new Audi Q3 here with the 2-liter TFSI, 265 horsepower, top engine, 5.7 seconds is the acceleration figure. Also all-wheel drive we have here, and miles per hour today here in the instruments, just that you don't wonder, because usually we have the kilometers here. And we can also go here to the dynamic mode and accelerate out from 30, and let's go. That was 30 to 60. Yeah, I think is quite nice in the acceleration, and good sound here also in the dynamic mode. Here using the indicators, this is of course the most special thing here at this moment. It is unusual, yes, but I think you get used to it. Indeed, as I said initially, it's a little bit harder to hit them because they're a little bit more hidden behind the steering wheel. But it's actually not too bad, you know. So going back here, yeah, you can get used to it, but definitely it takes a little bit more concentration and effort, at least at first. I have to see how it is then, you know, after a while or something like that. We do have 20-inch wheels here mounted, and this can reduce the comfort a little bit, definitely when you have some potholes or some uneven stuff on the motorway. So if you want more comfort, stick with the smaller wheels. This adaptive suspension, however, does a good job. It feels really direct and sporty, and there is more precision from the steering wheel. There's more dynamic handling from the suspension. That was also one of the goals as for that. The thing is, as for the comfort from the suspension, of course you will feel more of that in the comfort mode, for example. Yeah, but the big wheels, they are still pretty dominant because you feel, you know, like every line on the road, you know. So, and then of course you have to think about what's the feeling from the wheels and what's the feeling from suspension. You have to really differentiate it. And indeed, the thing is that the wheels make you feel the potholes, and the suspension, however, keeps the car upright. And one of the things they have also improved is that there is less body roll. So that should be in favor of Leah. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So yeah. You find, I mean,
feel good, yeah.
Also unusual situation, of course, when you have the different traffic here on you know, driving on the left and so on. So it might be a little bit confusing also for your passengers at first. But yeah, we're not driving too slow here. Now we can drive 70 miles per hour. So like, what, 15 kilometers an hour, something like that. And the car feels really sporty and direct. It doesn't actually feel like an SUV. It more feels like a compact hot hatch, I have to say. And yeah, this almost feels like, you know, as you would be driving like on a small racetrack with a compact hatch in these. So that's pretty cool. So I'm really, really happy with the dynamic handling of this vehicle. And I think the comfort, as I said, you can rule more with the tire choices. So if you would pick that one with adaptive suspension and then the, let's say, 18-inch wheels, maybe a good compromise between the looks and the comfort still, I think that's a pretty cool thing. This dual clutch transmission, this one, by the way, is really smooth when you are not that hard on the throttle. Then you hardly feel the difference and so on. And it also depends on the driving mode. If you are in the comfort or balanced driving mode, or if you're in the sporty driving mode. The engine is also very well insulated, not too loud, and I would say here at 70 miles an hour, like 115 kilometers an hour, it's reasonably silent in here. I have in the front there this dual lamination. In the rear we have the thicker windows. So overall, I think it's pretty good. I mean, I don't hear any wind noise. Of course, maybe at the later stage we can test it at the German Autobahn at way higher speeds and so on. But here at the speeds we have here, it's actually really silent. It feels like a premium experience. Here even more bad road testing. Now there's rolling noise from this bad asphalt, and yeah, you feel the 20-inch wheels. But when there's even out, then it's all fine, and the suspension itself, once again, does a good job. We have some nice Scottish countryside roads here now, and it almost feels like rally racing. And I mean, if I look to Leah very closely, she does enjoy the car, but sitting so close to the middle line is unusual. And I wonder, you know, on the motorway, they don't have high speed limits here, but that you can drive 60 miles an hour, like 100 kilometers an hour here, is sporty. Let's take it that way. It's interesting, you know, that probably would not be allowed in Germany on the road like this to drive that fast. But then again, we can drive faster on the German Autobahn. So this is almost like a WRC special stage here. Very interesting, but once again proves the dynamic handling of this vehicle, even in a normal driving mode, not even the dynamic mode. Super stable, super controlled. You know what you're doing exactly. Small commands here in the steering. I directly transported to the road. Woo! Almost jumping, lifting off here. Yeah, but the suspension is evening that out very, very well. So yeah, enjoying that a lot to drive here. The only thing is, yeah, with this 2-liter TFSI, the top horsepower spec with all-wheel drive, consumption is quite high. We here at about 8 liters on 100 kilometers. This is about 29 mpg US or 35 mpg UK. And some night driving, you can see here in front of us the orientation light of the all-new Audi Q3 is a digital Matrix LED technology. Here it disappears when you're, for example, entering a village. And when you're outside the steer again, there it is, then it appears again. And it's basically guiding you that you don't miss the lane at night. You can see here when I move the steering wheel left and right, it follows the steering movement. And whoa, now on the motorway, above 70 miles per hour, so above like 110, 115 kilometers an hour. You can see here is the full light carpet in front of us here on the motorway. This looks very impressive. I still got these markings, these lane markings, but now basically inverted, so to speak. And also when you set the turning indicator, you can see it now on the right side. It is an additional signal, not only for you, but also for others on the road, that you've set the turning indicator. I'll also show you on the other side here. And this is also communicating with the outside world, so to speak. So what you're seeing here is not a projection in the head-up display. It is literally on the road. So all other drivers on the road can actually also see that. And it might also be like an additional warning, for example, that you are coming, because the vehicles that are a little bit slower than you see this light carpet coming from behind. And here in the Audi Q3 night driving, you can see when I get closer to the vehicle, it signals me the distance, this digital Matrix LED, and disappears when I'm getting too close. But here behind the vehicle, this light carpet appears again, and it's also appearing basically next to the vehicle when I overtake someone. So this can indeed be helpful. Now again, it's changing the lane. And once again, this is really projected onto the road. It's not in the head-up display. It's not something that you yourself as a driver can only see. Everyone here, also the car next to us, can see that. There's first the light carpet arriving, and then the actual car is coming. Now we hop to the 1.5 TFSI on the second day after this cool night driving experience here. 9.1 seconds in the acceleration figure. Let's see how fast or how quick it still is. It's 3.4 seconds slower in the acceleration figure than the top engine, the 2-liter TFSI with the 265 horsepower here from 30 miles. Let's go. Oh, that was 30 to 50 miles. Yeah, there's a massive difference indeed. Sound-wise also better with the 2-liter TFSI, definitely. And here just, yeah, especially when you go a little bit uphill, yeah, there's not much power coming. However, advantage here is you have the MHEV system, mild hybrid, and that means in the city you can have some electric moments, so to speak, when you're, for example, rolling towards a traffic light or something like that. It will have some advantages as for consumption and so on. Let's also go back here to the balanced mode. Suspension is also the adaptive suspension here, so that's then the same. And if you're more at steady speeds and so on, it won't make, let's say, the biggest difference. You can also always use the shifting pedals if you like. Maybe you want to downshift first. On the motorway, like this acceleration on the motorway, this is where you feel the difference most between weakest and strongest engine. And sometimes where you also feel it when you're, for example, you're approaching a corner, you're looking like what's going on, you're reducing speed, and then you want to quickly accelerate out again. Then this one needs to get going, whereas the other one really feels hot hatch alike, and it's directly there again. So yeah, point. But the agile feeling in the dynamics and so on is also really cool. With this one, this is no problem at all. It's really about the just like the pure acceleration performance, and the shifting itself is, of course, it's the same transmission, but since you have less power here, the shifting sometimes feels a little bit more delayed, but it's just like a perceived feeling, so to speak. So this is also where the higher horsepower output definitely helps. The question now is, for what do you want to use this vehicle? If it's more city traffic, getting along with the family and so on, and you don't have too high speeds on the motorway, you don't need to enter the motorway in a very quick way, that's maybe fine. If you have more motorway use and also drive at higher speeds and you like to drive sporty, then probably the entry level engine is nothing for you. Of course, the top engine is also very expensive, but then there's also something in between, or maybe the plug-in hybrid version or the diesel, so there would also be some other choices left. And the 1.5 TFSI, now here the test consumption MPG data, 6 liters on 100 kilometers, so 39 mpg US, 47 mpg UK, so 2 liters less. As for pricing, now it might start to hurt. So the base price is 45,000 euros. Then you add about 1,500 euros for the Sportback, which is not available on the Northern American market, by the way. It's maybe a European thing, I don't know, and especially a German thing. It seems to be that Germans want to have the coupe-ish version of that one. Then like 49,000 euros if you go for a plug-in hybrid, which also has a lot of tax benefits in a lot of markets. But then, just taking this vehicle here with the top engine, quickest engine, everything you can expect with this vehicle in light technology, wheels, interior, and so on, then you get, and it stands here right now, to 77,000 euros. That's tough. That's tough. I mean, the car is very well built, and it drives exceptionally well, definitely. But it's a hefty price for this segment if you consider. Yeah, the Q5 prices also somehow went up more like towards the 100K. But even like a fully spec'd BMW X3 plug-in hybrid, which is not against this one. X3 is against Q5, This one here, Q3, would be against X1. But the X3 plug-in hybrid would be fully spec'd the same price as this one here. So I think it will depend on the leasing price. At least the list prices are very high. So I do hope that at least the leasing offers will be quite good still. Very interesting to see all the different versions here, colors and engines here today. Tell me, which one would you go for, the Sportback or the SUV version, and which engine would you pick? And of course, you can also compare more videos here, like we have a specific separate video to the Q3 Sportback, but also videos, for example, to the Tiguan or the Telamar, the sister models.